Hello and welcome. My name is Lee Jackson and I am a motivational speaker and an author. And I help adults, but I also help a lot of young people to get the best out of their time at school and to really help them to get the best out of exams and the time, which can be really quite stressful. So it's really fantastic to be here. Please comment and let us know if you've got any questions, and I'd love to answer your questions and do that live. I've already got a couple of people logged in, which is fantastic. And I've got some questions that people asked me earlier in the day, which I will refer to as time goes on. So it is great to be here. Thank you. My daughters are taking their A levels at the moment, not GCSEs, but their A levels. So they're a little bit further ahead than many of your children who are there taking their GCSEs right now. But time is ticking on. The A levels finish in, well, for my daughters, it'll be in 2 weeks and 1 day's time, and that is it, and it's over. They will have finished school doing about 16,800 hours of education. Your son or daughter who's doing their GCSEs will be coming up to the final little lap, depending on which subjects or exam boards they've got, but very much so they will be at the last bit. So how do we keep them going when they're at this last little lap, if you like, when they're sort of maybe flagging a little bit, maybe they've done tons of revision, they may still be at school, or they may have dropped down from school, depending on what kind of school they're at and what their school decides. All the schools that I work in, they all do different things. Some of them stay in school permanently, some of them go home to revise, some put on special classes in schools and have one-to-one coaching. So it completely depends on what your school's like. But here's a few things that I've learned along the way. Oh, by the way, I'll just tell you, I have written a few books which help with motivation. I've written a few books for young people, but today I'm concentrating on the Collins Guide, GCSE Revision Study Skills, which is a great book written by myself and several other people. At the front there, you can see a list of fantastic authors, all specialists in our field. And I've written the first chapter, which helps really set the scene for how do we get our brain ready for doing exams. And also, you may have seen in Smith's, W.H. Smith's, and also Waterstone's, I believe, the Collins and Letts Guide. This is a free, I'll emphasise free, because I'm here in Yorkshire, and there's no sweeter word than free when you live in Yorkshire, believe me. And the free guide, and you can pick that up. I saw it in Smith's just the other day. And I've written that little parent's guide to getting your kids through the last little lap. So let me give you a few tips from that. I've done a few of these now, and what I always like to mention is the fact that as a parent or a carer, we are coaches. We really are. It's about coaching them well. Imagine I played a lot of basketball. I'm kind of a bit old and a bit short, but I still play basketball, and I'm playing in the GB Masters competition at this weekend, which I'm so excited about, which is basically the old people's basketball competition for people who played a long time like me. And when I've been playing basketball, a coach occasionally is someone who will tell you, you're not doing that right, you're not doing that right. But actually, a great coach is someone who says, look, guys, let's just tweak this. Let's just do this slightly differently, and we'll get the best result. So coaching is not about saying, look, it's my way or the highway. That's not what a good coach does. A good coach gets to know the players, gets to know the individuals, and coaches them in the best way possible. And I think that's what we have to do as parents and carers. And that's what I'm doing right now in my home with my daughters. I've got twin daughters, you see. They're twins and they're taking A levels at the same time. So I've got all happening at once. So it's quite interesting in our house at the moment. And we're looking forward to it calming down in a couple of weeks' time, when we can just sort of enjoy the summer, really. So yeah, it's about being a coach, and how you do that is understanding what I've heard as called the bus stop theory. And I first heard this from a fantastic speaker, Shelley Rose Charvet, which is a fantastic name and a fantastic speaker. She's really helps people to get their mindset right, and she talks about bus stops. So if you imagine that this book is a bus stop, and that's kind of the bus stop that we are stood at. And if you imagine that over here is the bus stop that your young person is stood at. Now, what we tend to do is we tend to stay at our bus stop over here, and we tend to shout to their bus stop and say, oi, 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 come, you come to me, you come to me, you come to me, you come to me, come and do what I say, come and do it the way that I do it. And that's shouting from one bus stop to the other. what I find really useful is understanding that actually we need to move to their bus stop. In other words, we need to understand how they feel right now. Not just saying it's my way or the highway, but actually saying to them, how are you getting on right now? Coaching them, moving into their world, moving into their space, and say, how do you feel right now? How do you feel? Look, you've got a week, 2 weeks left. How do you feel right now? Are you stressed out, or are you on plan? Have you got a good revision timetable going? And it's that moving from one bus stop to another that I think makes a real difference, because we get to see things in a different way. It's the equivalent of us sitting down on the curb and just talking to them in a different way, rather than saying, look, this is how I did it, this is how I think you should do it. It's about, what have your teachers said? What have your support staff at school, what have they talked about? What do you need to revise right now? Okay, so in 2 days' time, you've got chemistry or whatever the subject is. What do you need to do right now? That is one of the key things. Not what I think you should do, but let's find out, what do we need to do? What do your teachers say? What are the topics? Because, of course, we have subjects and we have topics within those subjects. So one of the keys is, what topic is coming up in that exam? So how do we keep them going is by helping them to revise the right thing and the right topic, so that they know exactly where they are at. The other thing is focusing. I always talk about focus, because I think it's so important for people to understand how important being focused is. I'm just about to embark on a project, as well as having fun and having holiday over the summer. I'm going to launch a project over this summer, and I won't tell you the details. It's not really relevant particularly. It's just that when I'm launching something, because I know that if I launch this project, it will give me the focus that I need to do some more writing, to produce another book. And it's that I need. So if I launch something, if I set a date to it, it gives me the focus. Because right now, in the last leg, when people are a bit tired, when your students, your teenager is a little bit tired, they're just going to be flagging. So how do we keep focus? That's one of the questions that I get asked quite a lot. Here it is. It's about changing. It's about changing focus. Because if I just sat here all day, and believe me, you wouldn't want to see it, me just talking into my computer on Facebook Live all day, it would be me, it'd be the same environment, it would be the same shirt probably, and it would get boring. So it's about changing the focus. It's about changing your style. It's about changing the style of revision. If they're stuck revising, then I saw my daughter the other day, and she was kind of slumped over her work, and she'd been there for so long doing work. And it's like, let's just change the focus. So change the style. Move from maybe using a whiteboard into do some writing. Maybe use some cards and to post-it notes. Why not stand up and do some revision standing up? This is one of the things that when I started speaking in schools, that people always look flummoxed by. Is that a word, flummoxed? But it's like, what do you mean you don't have to sit down? Because I'm aware that all of education is sat in a chair. And when you sit in a chair, you kind of, you can flop down in the chair, or you can get down in the chair. And actually, it's about, maybe you need to stand up, because, I've got some little cards here and stuff like that, and you can get some cards and you can use the cards in different ways, and you can actually stand up and write the cards. Stand up and write post-it notes. That'll keep you going, even if it's just for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It breaks the pattern of being on your desk, being slow. Maybe different places. My daughters have learned that they work in their bedrooms. Sometimes they work in the dining room. I've seen them on the floor in our dining room, on the table in the dining room working. I've seen them in the living room when the sun was shining. It's not today here in Yorkshire, but when the sun is shining, they've been outside revising and just enjoying that, trying to hold things down for stop the wind blowing things away. So it's a change of location, a change of style, a change of subject. If you're struggling with history, then move to chemistry or whatever it happens to be, or sociology. And these are the subjects I'm living with right now, business and geography and stuff. Move to a different subject, move to a different topic, move to a different technique as well. You've probably heard about mind maps. Mind maps are a nice way of doing things where you can just spread out the information and reconnect. Oh, are we back? Yes, sorry, I had a little connection problem there. I think we're back. We need to change your focus. Just let me know if you're there. Give me a thumbs up or a like, and let me know whether you're still live, and hopefully we are. So yes, also we have certain mantras as, oh, thank you for the likes. We are still live. Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you, Olivia. We are also, as a parent, I've learned that you need to have certain mantras, certain things that you say again and again and again. And it's not like tidy up your room, all that kind of stuff. The mantras this week is only 2 weeks to go. Only 4 more exams left. Only 4 more exams. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Only 4 more exams left. Look, you concentrate for 2 weeks. Keep your head down for 2 weeks. We've got all of that holiday ahead. And my daughters are going to have probably about 9 weeks of holiday or something like that. And that's a pretty good holiday, right? So you can imagine, thinking, just last now, and then 9 weeks of holiday is on its way. Just hold on now. Look, only 2 weeks to go. Only 2 weeks to go. Only 2 weeks to go. And be positive as well. Just say, look, it's nearly there. We're okay. It is nearly there. We're nearly there. So let me look at a few little tips and questions that we had. Because I asked a few people about various things and various tips, and they gave me some great advice. Because I always like to contact people on social media and to say what they actually want from me, to say how they can help me and what they've learned as well. So first of all, it's obviously get the timetable. Make sure you got a timetable. It's there. Make sure it's in place. A little bit flexible is good, but make sure that the timetable is there. That is so important. And we've also, I got my friend Joan here sent. She just says it's all about encouragement. Just encourage. That will help them to keep on going. And also, it's continue to write things down. Remember that revision isn't just reading, it's writing stuff down as well. And a teacher of mine, I asked a few of my teachers, friends, and I said, oh, what advice would you give just for the last lap? And one of them here said that feed them well. So parents, your job is to feed them, to buy little rewards. Today I bought a bag of crisps and some sweets as a little reward to my daughters, just a little something that keeps on going. I know I like that, and so I know that they do too. Feed them well, good carbs, good meal the night before so that they're ready for their exam. Make sure they've got a water bottle. They can usually take water bottles into exams now. Make sure they've got that, all the stationery that they need. Make sure that's refreshed. Pens are working, whiteboard pens are working, that kind of stuff. And one of my teacher friends said, give them lots of sleep, lots of encouragement, lots of sleep. And if you have a noisy house, so maybe there's like loads and loads of you in the house making noise all the time, then one of my teacher friends, they said, just take your noise elsewhere. Maybe you just need to be a little bit quieter than normal because it's only for a short period of time. A couple more tips. Friend Joanne was saying, for essay subjects, those kind of things, just make sure you mind map the themes, you plan out simple questions in note forms, get your index cards. But actually, if you see something big in front of you, that's great. You'll see a whiteboard behind me there. And I've got a couple of whiteboards, and seeing things bigger is a good thing as well. So you get to see those, lots and lots of breaks. And a very specific one from my good friend Ed, who's a science teacher. And he said, for many subjects at this stage, you will have done maybe paper 1, say in chemistry or something, and you're now about to do paper 2. So be very clear on the different style of questions in each paper, how to interpret them and the sort of answers that you need. Because what was required in paper 1 is probably not what's required in paper 2. So it's we go. Yes, we're still here. I'm fantastic. Thank you for your patience. Keep the comments coming and let us know whether this video is helpful to you. A couple of minutes left. So, and my friend Ed, who was also a science teacher, was saying that what teachers, it's good to remember that actually if you've taken paper 1 in an exam, then remember that you now know a bit more what might be in paper 2. Because if it wasn't in paper 1, you can figure out, oh, do you know what? I think that's going to be in paper 2. So therefore, you can revise the right subject. Ask your teachers, ask your friends, get them to ask their friends, and to see what they can get with that. Because the friends will know and they'll have heard things and that kind of thing. So time's almost up, but I want to give you a couple of extra tips if I can do that. There's not a lot of questions coming in at the moment, so I'll give you a couple of extra tips. Anybody who does my role, anyone who does my job and calls himself a motivational speaker, which is the worst job title in the world, by the way, because I have to call myself that just because it's people Google it, right? Because no one wants to be called that, because it gets people on the back foot. Ooh, come and motivate me. But actually, the reason why I do my job is because I want to help people in lots of different ways. And someone in my job, what they will find out is that you can't talk about motivation unless you talk about the big why, thinking ahead. Lots of my friends talk about this. In other words, they need to know why they're doing what they're doing. To get through that last week, that last 2 weeks, they say, look, you're doing this because you can get the results that you want and choose the college that you want to go to. And you can do the A levels that you want, or any other subjects that you're doing. And then maybe you can choose the university that you want if that's the option for them, or even an apprenticeship. Get these results now, and you can choose exactly what you want to do in the future. That in itself is a big thing that keeps you going. So the little stuff like sweets and breaks and style change and all that kind of stuff, but do that last bit is great. And the other big thing that motivational speakers talk about. Oh, got a question coming in from Rebecca. Thanks, Rebecca. I'll answer that in just a moment. And that is the big fear. I call it the big fear. People are basically, everybody in the world pretty much is scared of failure. So people get demotivated when they think they're going to fail. And it's natural to be scared of failure. If I launch this big work project I'm talking to you about in the next couple of months, will I fail on that? Well, there's a possibility I'll fail. Some of my books have sold well, some of them haven't sold as well. That's fine, that's part of life. But helping them to understand that whatever we do in life, we have to keep going. We have to try stuff, and we will have the risk of failure. But that doesn't mean not to do revision. It's just, look, all we can ask is that we give it our best shot. That you don't ask them to be perfect. You don't ask them to be the best student in the school or the best in their class. All you can ask is that they reach their potential. That's what makes the difference. I can't be anyone else except for Lee Jackson. I know I look a little bit like Keith Chegwin, right? But I can't be that person, right? Someone said I look like Phil Mitchell's brother off EastEnders. I can't be that guy. I can only be Lee Jackson. And so it's about reaching our potential as individuals, not comparing us to other people. So Rebecca, thank you for asking the question. I'll finish with this question and wrap up. Do you think revising in groups for schoolwork? I used to get distracted by others, but I know that some people find it useful and keeps them motivated by seeing others revise. Yes, I think group revision can work, but it takes people to really concentrate on what they're doing. So you can't really do that in the Costa coffee when there's loads of noise and music and everyone's on their phone and really they're not really revising. It's say, sure, do some group revision. Maybe you'll do that for an hour and a half or something and then come back home or go to the library and do something else. I think it can easily sort of disintegrate into nothingness, really. So be very careful with group revision. Sure, it'll work, but for some people, they'll just procrastinate or they'll just be on Snapchat the whole time. And instead of talking to their friends, they'll just be on their phones or whatever. So yes, for some subjects, it may work very well indeed. Great question, Rebecca. I hope that helps. Let me know. So there is other ways you can contact us here at Collins for Parents, my publisher. They will answer some questions that you send them. There is tons and tons of there is tons of resources out there that can help, as well as, like I mentioned, the free book for parents and carers. It's free. There it is. It's free, and you can get it from W.H. Smith's and Waterstones and some other bookshops, I'm sure. So go and have a look at that. It's really helpful. And it's free. And the book, which is still fairly cheap actually to buy, is the Collins GCSE Revision Study Skills, with help on practical skills, but also stuff about what do we need to do that. And there's loads of stuff in there. 5 or 6 different authors, all giving our different opinions in different ways. So find out what works for your child. Find out what works for your teenager. Find out the way I talk about the demo. Find out what makes them, what really works for their brain. So when, it might be the mind maps, all of a sudden you see they're really engaged. What works for them? Maybe it is group study briefly, Maybe it's cards and post-it notes, or particularly for lads, I've done a lot of study of this, the standing up. So when they stand up to revise and they can write on cards, that might be the way that gets their brain going. Ah, right, the ding moment. Okay, so it's been lovely to be with you. My name is Lee Jackson. You can find me at leejackson.biz. That's leejackson.biz. And I've got lots of resources, lots of videos on my YouTube channel to help teenagers and adults to stay motivated in our challenging times. So I'd love to talk to you more if I can help. It's been fantastic to be here. But now, a little joke to finish. Enough from me. It's over to you. The ball is in your court. It's a bad joke, I know, but it made me laugh. The ball is now in your court. I wish you every success for your GCSEs or any other exam that you're taking. Please let us know how you get on and how Collins has helped you. Thank you and good night.